He had a girlfriend, at least I think that was his girlfriend.
What happens if that was his mom? Or maybe she's both.
Alright!
Another video, another reaction. Let's go.
Let's go.
More degenerosity for all of us alike. So let's get into it. So today we are watching The Greatness of Old Kids Shows by, again, Degenerocity. Oh, I remember this. I remember this. Oh, I love this. I used to love Arthur.
Babies. Who doesn't love them? Oh, not me, but that's only because I'm grown now. Yeah, the only time when I liked babies was during the time when I was inside one. Wait. That's not what I meant. That sounds crazy. What I meant was when I was a literal baby myself. Like, we've all been inside babies before.
Don't phrase it like that. Please, stop phrasing it like that. There are better ways to say that.
When you're a baby, you don't gotta worry about nothing. Someone's already feeding you, bathing you, strolling you around the street, cleaning the doodle out your pants. You never have any responsibilities for yourself. Being a baby is the new 80.
I agree.
We were babies when we weren't sleeping or swallowing the nearest lethal object. We were playing with toys or watching the preschool shows our parents put on the TV. You know, they changed it to the children's channels. PBS, TBS,
mind control,
CBS,
mind control.
Put it on the shows for us toddlers. Well, my parents didn't really do that. I would just watch whatever my siblings were watching, which was Cartoon Network and Disney Channel 99% of the time. And whatever my
I wish. I never had cable, so the only time we would ever be able to watch Disney Channel or any of those cable channels were someone else's house.
dad was watching. And he was not watching the most baby-friendly stuff. Like, literally, both me and my dad would fall asleep watching Friday the 13th or something on Showtime. Then at 4 a.m., I'd wake up to Showtime playing straight-up corn on the channel. Not even a scene. Like, it's just a straight-up corn movie. And I just stared at it. My balls were still in my stomach, so I ain't feel nothing. But when watching it, I felt industry, baby, if you catch my drift. In short, I ain't watched that many kid shows. But when I did, I was watching what every other baby was watching. While babies nowadays are looking at their Cocomelon, we Gen Ziggers was watching classics. Classics in the making. The children's programming from back in the day of our babyhoods.
So something that I feel like a lot of kid shows don't do nowadays, and please correct me if I am wrong, teach like a lesson for the episode. I think a big part of that has to do with the corporatization of media. A lot of companies don't want flawed main characters nowadays. If we get a character that does something bad, the kids aren't gonna like him. The whole point of having a flawed character is to teach a moral to the kids. How could a lesson be taught without having the main character do something that isn't good?
Some of the greatest. Educating us kids on values.
Yeah, education too. Maybe they do some educational stuff. I feel like they tend to just be brain rot, do brain stuff. But again, this could also just be me being older and not watching kids shows nowadays. So maybe I'm just making stuff up. Maybe I'm on that old person shit. Oh, back in my day, the shows were better. But they're actually just the same thing. I don't know.
Go brush your teeth. Or don't be an ass. And I wanted to use
True.
And reminisce on the very simple times of watching baby shows. Talk on how some of them were great and how some of them
Arthur was such a
were
good
the
show.
back door to my nightmares.
Bro, I remember that show, bro. Not gonna lie, I kind of digged it when I was younger.
But I'm gonna save that for the end. I'm gonna start this off with a channel.
I wonder what the production cost was for that
Disney
show.
Junior. Now, I'm not gonna show that much footage because Disney sucks. But I remember
yeah.
when this channel became a thing. Like,
Disney
I was
is
like
doo-doo
around 8
brain.
years old enough to realize the meaning of my existence, but not old enough to have common sense. So I still needed this educational channels. But honestly, thinking about it right now, I don't think I ever watched a show to be educated before. I for real watched a lot of kids' education shows back then, and I don't think I've learned a single thing from any of them.
I remember this one show. I forget what it was called, but it was about space aliens teaching science. It actually taught me a bunch of stuff my teachers didn't really get to until a lot older.
They were teaching us stuff that we already learned at school. Why the hell I need to repeat it at me? That's why back then I barely watched kids shows that would ask you a question and wait 20 years for you to answer. It ruins my immersion of the show. I get less and less attached to the show.
I don't know. I think Dora did a really good job with that formula. Not gonna lie, not gonna lie.
When they hit me with fourth wall breaks, you ain't supposed to know I'm here. Like, who are you talking to? And after waiting 80 years of them just staring at you, waiting for you to answer, they just assume your answer anyway. So why'd you ask me in the first place? Wasted my time. I had goals as a kid. I had stuff to do. And this show is just wasting my time. Anyway, I forgot Disney Junior. There were a few shows I used to always watch. I remember watching Big Bear in the Big Blue House sometimes.
That show looks familiar, but I just like don't remember it.
Honestly, this show kind of scared me as a kid because the moon, it reminded me of that molester moon emoji. And that's the most I remember from the show.
No, don't call it that. No, I use that emoji a lot. I use that emoji a lot. Now I'm just gonna think about this whenever I use it. No.
Sadly, wasn't a Wiggles guy either, but I heard a bunch of songs from them, and not gonna lie, they're pretty great. I've heard a bunch of songs from them, and after hearing them, I can tell you that this is one of the greatest bands of this generation.
Do these guys like go through an existential crisis every time that they have to film an episode?
Of any generation. Every song from them makes you hype and go crazy. They're basically the Beatles if they were good. There was also Special Agent Oso.
I never watched
really
that.
The only reason I attempted to watch this show was because Mr. Mosby was playing the wolf on the show.
Mr. Mosby, I love you!
But none of those shows were the main shows. The big three of my Disney Junior experience was Handy Manny, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and Little Einsteins. Not Doc McStuffins. She ain't no real doctor. She can't give me my BBL. Or Sophia the First. That show's for Atlanta niggas. We all know the deal with Handy Manny. You know, Mexican dude with talking tos that can fix anything. From a boat to a chair to your accident, you name it.
No! I know where that hammer and screw's going.
We fix it. The characters were fun too. You know, there was this guy who was a complete loser. He had no hairline. He lived with his cat. He was always the butt of the joke. Never had any bitches. Easily the most relatable character on the show.
I remember the main character of the show. I don't remember anything else.
I also remember them adding this new character. It was a flashlight.
Is that Family Guy?
Minion. I don't remember what language he spoke. But they was adorable. Every time they were on screen, they was just like cute like a minion. Then the main man, Manny himself, just being a helpful, handsome guy. He had a girlfriend, at least I think that was his girlfriend. He always had everybody.
What happens if that was his mom? Or maybe she's both.
On his back. He was such a Chad. He was such a handsome man. He's just a dandy guy. I like him. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and Automatic.
What was that?
Opening
What was
and ending
that?
songs alone. You know that song.
Film choice.
MOUSC. Oh,
I never watched the
balls
show
hot,
either.
Especially that hot diggity dog. Look at Goofy go. Do I need to say more?
I never watched the show, but I do remember that. The hot dog, diggity dog.
More? The only thing I
They'd
remember
always
this show
play that.
messing up on was when they gave Toodles a face and a personality. Now he can talk and he can like communicate with us. I don't want this, man. He don't need to speak, bro. It's weird. Like, look at him. He look creepy. Like, if he could speak the whole time, then why didn't he say anything before? He's plotting something. I know it. There was Little Einsteins. I just loved it because I'm a bit of a musician myself. You know, I can play piano, trumpet, the recorder, the triforce of instruments. And since I'm a musical genius, of course this show would appeal to someone like me. And honestly, I don't remember what they did on this show. Like, they had a ship, they were talking instruments.
Something, Little Einsteins.
I think that's all I remember. I just remember loving it as a kid. And that theme song, you know, that old meme.
Cleveland.
They just don't make them like that no more. But Disney Junior was a great entertainment and education source for children back then, especially me. But it wasn't my favorite. Moving on to a channel that I liked more as a kid, in terms of baby shows, Nick Jr. Nick Jr. I have a lot more memories of as a kid, even though they had some dookie butt shows like Dora and the more.
Okay, no. Dora was quality. You know you were watching quality when you were watching Dora. You learned Spanish.
Boring Diego. But everything else was pretty good. Wonder Pets was pretty
I did
lit,
not watch
although that
Diego.
turtle can go chug a bottle of piss. I still hate turtles. The backyard.
Just these guys in general, they'd always get a snack at the end of their adventure. The snacks look so good, but I didn't like vegetables, so I was like, bro, how do they make the snacks look so good? But they're yucky.
Pretty lit, although that turtle can go chug a bottle of piss. I still hate turtles. The Backyardigans. Everybody loved this
turtles
show.
are
And the
nice.
animals,
They're cool.
Tanisha, Pablo, Bart, Jesse and James. I don't remember their names, but it was such a fun show.
Jesse
You know,
and
the
James.
backyard was always transforming and getting new settings, like every single episode. I loved it. My favorite episodes were the jungle episode and the western episode. Max and Ruby.
Oh,
Now,
I
got
remember
mixed
this.
feelings on this.
I
used
think
to
they had
watch this
sandwiches
show
once.
a lot.
Like, I enjoyed the show as a kid, but I didn't really like Max all that much when I was young. I didn't really know any better back then. I just saw him make...
I like the way that they walk.
I didn't
Like, look at this. It's cute. It reminds me of a penguin. That's why. Like a longer leg penguin kind of walk.
really know any better back then. I just saw him making mud cakes, and I was just like, that's gross.
No, I liked the mud cakes. I remember that. I remember wanting to eat them. Honestly, though, I think I just wanted regular cakes.
There's worms in it, bro. Why are you making that? It wasn't until I got older that I realized that Max was just having fun, man. He was just a young kid,
Yeah, he was just vibing, bro. Mud cakes. Then I'd eat the mud cakes. And then I'd pretend like I'm a part of the Lion King because I ate bugs.
fun playing with his toys, making cakes. He was just doing his thing. The real villain of this show, it was Roby. I'm not gonna get too in detail because then I'll just be stealing this guy's content. Shout out to him. But let me say this.
What?
If I was in a room with a bow and arrow with only 2 arrows and there was me, Ruby, no, I don't even care who else is there. I'm gonna shoot Ruby twice.
I don't remember her being horrible, but you know what? I'll take your word for it.
Blues was pretty cool too. You know, I like the cat. I like the box characters. My man Steve was drawing like Picasso with just a crayon. The show was nuts until Steve left to buy some cigarettes. What does the new Steve
He went to buy some cigarettes. What?
look like again?
Who the fuck is this?
Peppa Pig. I didn't really watch it because it was
Could have been a
British and-
doctor.
I was more of a Olivia kind of guy.
But I'll admit it, the Peppa Pig album is pretty fire. Like, unironically, it's better than Honestly Trash. And I ain't gonna forget the GOAT. Yo, Gabba Gabba. I didn't really watch.
I just get these like minor flashbacks of all these shows, but I can't remember anything about them. They're all fever dreams. Every single show is just a fever dream.
It that much, but my brothers loved it, and the characters look nice. Biz Marquis is in like every episode beatboxing, and DJ Lance is so into his character in the show that he's still in his character over 10 years after the show ended.
Wait, he's still in his character? What the heck?
So that's dedication right there. But yeah, I ain't really watched this show as a kid. The
He looks the same. How did he not age?
most I got from it was that one episode from South Park where Fufa became a thought. That's the most I ever got from it.
What?
And my personal favorite Nick Jr. show was Little Bill. Now, ignoring the controversy, this show taught me so many things, like how to talk to girls, how to ask a girl out, and the secret to getting any girl.
Do you have a girl? Did it work?
If you don't have a girl, then the lessons in there might not have been that accurate.
Thanks to this show, I can say these tips changed my life for the better. Because
The
of
Gary
these tips,
cheerleader
every time I
squad,
move
let's
into a
go.
new home, I have to introduce myself to my female neighbors. And under state law, I basically have to tell them how good I am with the ladies. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? I'm the Riz God, all because of Little Bill. All right, moving on from that, I want to talk about my actual favorite shows from back
was
when I
it?
was a kindergartner. And back then, I was a huge fan, of Thomas the Tank Engine.
That was a good one. At my local library, they had like a little Thomas the Train little play thing where you could set up tracks around like a village, and then like you could put the Thomas the Tank Engine on. It was so cool. This show was so cool. They really need to make a show like that because one, the merchandise for it was stellar. Exhibit A, the library train set. Exhibit B, literally you could buy like these really big cool trains nowadays. They really gotta get back into making something like this. It doesn't have to be a train, but they gotta make something for toys.
I love this show so much. It's just something about him. I was addicted to it though. Like actually, I owned DVDs, had so many train sets and toys. I even wore Thomas the Tank.
Wait. That was it. Hold on, wait. This was the one at the library, I think.
Train sets and toys. I even wore Thomas the Tank Engine undies. I was wearing this man on my
man,
balls.
TMI.
You cannot tell me
TMI!
I'm a fake fan. You can't call me gay either. He's a train. let him run a train on me. I really do love Thomas the Tank Engine. I consider it a very big part of my babyhood. I think the reason I liked this show so much was cause that it was a very chill show. Nothing would happen in your face. The conflicts would always be in the island of Sodor with the trains doing the task that Sir Toppin Hat would tell them to do. And then a small hiccup happens and then they solve it, learning a lesson maybe in the process.
Maybe.
Simple. It was a very simple, chill show, and I like trains. The interactions were always very
You like Train, like the singer of Hey There, Delilah?
sweet, and when they weren't, you know when shit was going down. But they would always make amends at the end. This was a show just trying to tell a simple story each episode. It's not like those other baby shows that would constantly break the fourth wall and just start singing out of nowhere or asking you, do you know what 5 plus 5 is? My favorite color, green. Like,
My favorite color. Green is not a creative color.
Bro, I hate shows like that. Sometimes us kids just want to be entertained like the grown-ups. We don't want to get constantly talked down to in shows. We already get enough of that in real life.
That's why I watched Criminal Minds when I was younger, to stimulate the brain.
Why would we want that in our entertainment? And Thomas did have learning segments where they would ask us kids questions, but it would be in between episodes. Not the actual episode would have it. It would never get in the way of the actual plot of the episode. This is why I kind of liked Arthur as a kid too, because it ain't interrupt you in the middle of the episode with random questions. We was just enjoying ourselves, learning not to swear, and definitely not wanting to learn how to knit.
No, I'm not a knitter.
Arthur was great. Still don't understand that racism episode though. I thought it was just animals in this universe, but black people exist too apparently, and get unfair treatment from the police. But there was no other races that were mentioned, so is it the animals that are the ones being racist? Is it just black people and animals in this universe? What does an interracial baby look like? Okay, I'm gonna stop asking questions. Back to Thomas.
It's not that deep, bro. It's not that deep.
That's what she said.
The show only has a narrator. Narrating and doing every voice in the show. I loved it. It made the show feel more common and soothing. I even remember when Alec Baldwin was the narrator for season 5. He was great too. You just had to wear a bulletproof vest every time you watched the show. Not to mention the music.
I don't remember that part.
World, it has no reason to be in that great. And it wasn't just a few good ones here and there, you know, a few good bops. No. Every single one. I'm serious too. Every song sounds like it could be one of those classic Disney songs from back in the day. They just are so catchy and so good to sing along to. And accidents will happen. One of the greatest songs of all time, Top 100, not even fibbing. Listen to it yourself. It's like in 1984 when the show was created. The music team for this show was like, yo, let's only drop classics for the next 20 years. Like we're Kanye West or something.
They need to release the album on iTunes and Spotify.
And the whole team responded, who the hell is Kanye West? But they did it anyway. These guys deserve all the Grammys. And that iconic intro, nobody has forgotten that. This is genuinely one of the greatest kid shows of all time. The amount of nostalgia and pure bliss and joy I get from this show, oh man, it cannot be matched. This show.
The sad part is you'll probably never get a show like this because all of this is like stop motion, and stop motion takes a lot of production to do. And let's face it, a lot of the corporations do not want to invest that much into a show for kids that can't buy anything, so.
Oh, it's amazing. It is fantastic. Or should I say, was. Because as soon as they went CGI.
You see, they're trying to like cut costs. They just turn everything into 3D because it's just, they don't have to pay for any of the materials or stop motion that they do with 3D.
It was downhill. And only downhill. I was appalled when they switched to style. This happened back in 2009 when I was 6 turning 7. And even back then I hated it. I was all like, why are their mouths moving now? Why are the people moving? Why do they have their own voices? It changed so much. I avoided this new version every time I saw it on TV. I missed it when they were actual toys and it was in reality. This is just weird. It's unnatural seeing them like this. I always hated when kid shows would switch their style just to look more.
Same. Like, okay, I get needing to upgrade the type of software you use to keep on producing the show, but when you just switch to like a whole different medium, that's just like more times than not, I feel like people just aren't going to react to it well, so
more modern. Just look at Bob the Builder. For years he was looking good, he was looking nice because he was in stop motion. Look at Bob go. Woo! Okay, let's see what Bob the Builder looks like now.
Boots check, tool belt check, hard hat check. Bob the Builder.
what? Ew, he looks so gross. You could keep the original style of Bob the Builder. You only make him look like, ugh.
Who the hell is that? That is definitely not Bob. That dude's name is Bertram. That is not Bob. That is not the same man that I knew from my childhood. This is not my Bob. They doing the same thing with Thomas. It's horrifying. And that ain't even the worst of it. You know the music? How I said it was one of the best songs of all time. You know, it should win all the BET Hip Hop Awards.
Yeah.
It's so ass now. Oh my goodness. They changed the whole vibes of the songs, bro. It sounds so terrible, man. It used to be a choir of kids singing, and now it's just... Listen to this.
A special day with all your friends. Seems like it will never end.
I mean, it kind of just sounds like classic kids rock. I think it's passable, you know? It's passable.
This is true.
Maybe I'm in the minority with this one, but I think it's passable.
And the new intro is even worse.
Was that Mount Everest with the trains on there? What the heck?
Man, listen.
Let's go, go, go on a big world adventure.
This is not Thomas sounding music. This shit sound like Paw Patrol, bro. I can't believe they massacred Tony like this, bro. And this is not the reason why I wore you on my balls, man. This is not the show.
Why'd you say that? Why'd you say that?
I used to love and enjoy. Stop trying to appease to these kids and appease to me, a grown-ass man.
True. Bro, sometimes discourse just sounds like that. It's like, why are you appeasing? Why are you appeasing these kids? Why can't you appease to be a grown-up? That's basically what he said. Why doesn't it appease to me? Ah!
Man, appeal to me. They ruined it, man. They ruined it. They really turned Thomas the Tank Engine into that freaking bootleg ripoff Thomas the Tank Engine Chuggington. This is honestly one of the worst things that ever happened in humanity. And since I'm over here whining about this children's show,
What's with the dog in the background?
let me talk about one final show real quick.
It's the death of culture. It's the death of culture. It starts with Thomas the Tank Engine, and then it goes into everything else.
A show that I only remember watching once in my childhood, but that one time alone left a scar that still remains to this day.
What was it? What?
I was in elementary school, staying up a little late one night. And on a TV, it was on Nick Jr. 24/7 baby content playing all the time. And at around midnight, this new show came on.
Yeah.
It was called...
Oh, wait, that one! Yeah,
Ubi.
bro! No, I love that show. Sue me! I liked the talking hands.
This show was a hand puppet show. But unlike Sesame Street or any other hand puppet show, it was just hands.
This show gave me so... Alright, I'm gonna cut the bullshit. The show ain't even that scary. I don't even know why I found this show scary. As a kid, it's just hand puppets. Maybe it's their creepy eyes, I don't know. But I'm not gonna try to hype it up to be like scary. I'm gonna sound like one of those like SpongeBob Theory channels or whatever. It's also because this show made me raise a lot of questions. Like,
Yes.
How do they eat? How do they swallow their food? Where does it go? How do they use the bathroom? Do they have holes? How do they...
No, don't ask that about a kid's film. No. You could say the exact same thing about, like, Thomas the Tank Engine. So the answer is don't think about it, bro. It's not that deep. That's what she said.
fight? How are their eyes attached to their hands? How do they put on rings? When they high-five each other, did they just kiss? Did they just have intercourse on screen?
Okay, I don't think you were asking that as a kid.
How do they even do it in this universe? And if they do it, do they wear gloves?
They give him a hand job.
Gloves for protection? So, how do they wear the gloves? Wouldn't that just cover their eyes? Where do their bodies end? There's actual people in this universe. What do they see below their hands? How do they drive cars in this universe?
They drive it with their mouths. They're like,
What is pushing the gas pedal? How does anything get done in this universe? I didn't like how many questions this show had me asking. That one time I watched this show was a life-changing and threatening experience for me as a child. And I hope no kid had to experience the nightmares I did because of this show.
Wild.
I've grown a lot since I was a jit. I'm never saying that again. I've grown in hair, length, size, but most importantly, I've grown in mind. And I don't think I would be the person I am today if it weren't for these children's shows. Well, mostly only Thomas and Little Bill, but the rest were here too. If I forgot to mention a show, I just didn't watch it as a kid. That's just the way it turned out for me. I love
Omni-Man versus Word Girl.
reminiscing about old times and old childhood memories. It makes me feel less old. And since we're towards the end of the video, I did not expect this video to be as long as it is. But that just shows how dedicated
my reaction is gonna be super long.
I am to this topic. And in conclusion, free Bill Cosby!
It starts with one thing.
I really like this video. It took me down the memory lane a lot. But yeah, anyways, that was my reaction. I hope you all enjoyed. And if there are any other videos that you recommend me watching, please let me know and I will look it up and see if it would be good to react to. So, thank you all for coming. Bye-bye!